All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, each and every one of you. Jackie Boy's got a sports show, and you are tuning into that sports show. And I know what you're saying already. Jack, showing up in my feed again? You already had a podcast this week, and you are correct. I believe I had a podcast this week. I'm mixing up the schedules. I want to start doing a prediction show, as the title may infer. I'm not sure if that's how you use infer. Hopefully we can have a video and my phone won't run out of storage space while I'm recording, but I wanted to do a prediction type of show. I wanted to do 2 episodes per week, but I couldn't really find a good reason to do it until I came up with the idea to do predictions. Now, got a little bit of indigestion. Got a little bit of a stuffy nose, so stick with me. And if you're watching on YouTube, look a little crazy. It's early in the morning. I should really be sleeping, but I overslept yesterday and couldn't record it, so I need to record it right now so I can have it out today. And let's just get right into it. Before we get to predictions, however, we got a couple news stories. Not a couple, just one, coming from the NBA from yesterday. Damian Lillard, in a 3-team trade with the Trailblazers, the Phoenix Suns, and the Milwaukee Bucks. Damian Lillard has been sent to Milwaukee along with some depth players for Phoenix, and DeAndre Ayton has been sent to Portland. Couple things here. I want to touch on the Phoenix Suns. When the Phoenix Suns traded for Bradley Beal after they got Kevin Durant last season, I think we were all thinking the obvious. This team is going to be so top-heavy. They're going to win a lot in the regular season, and they're not going to go anywhere in the playoffs because of how top-heavy they are. But they got some much-needed depth. I didn't exactly see which role players they picked up, but I know that they're good rotational guys, some much-needed depth for that team, so they're not just super ultra-reliant on Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal. The Trailblazers got a couple pieces that they're immediately going to ship off. I believe Nurk went to Phoenix. If I'm not mistaken, Nurk went to Phoenix. The Trailblazers got DeAndre Ayton along with Drew Holiday. Now I'm hearing that Drew Holiday may be shipped off in a couple days. They're not really going to keep him around. I think it'd be smarter to do that. He is old. He's probably going to want to start ring chasing here soon. That's what old NBA players do now. And they got 2 solid guards up in Portland. And DeAndre Ayton, I mean, he's a piece. He's good. Don't get me wrong. Is he some phenomenal thing? No. Is this a sign that he's probably going to be the best team on Portland for maybe a year or 2 before that young talent starts really showing what they can do in the NBA? Probably. But he's not a needle mover. Unless the team is absolutely ready for a championship and they need a center. I mean, he's not Jokic. He's not Embiid. He's not even close, right? I don't even think that may be wild and that may be Memphis bias. I was going to say I don't even think he's Steven Adams. But like I said, that might be just a little Memphis bias. I don't know. But Damian Lillard to the Bucks is very interesting. He's pretty much replacing Drew Holiday. While I think this adds some much-needed floor spacing to Milwaukee, they didn't really have. I mean, Brook Lopez was fine. Drew Holiday could shoot the 3 every now and then. Chris Middleton, I guess. And Robert Covington can hit it. But they never had a real, true 3-point guy. Someone who can space the floor. Especially no one close to Damian Lillard. However, Drew Holiday was regressing, yes. I do think that the defense Drew Holiday brings is going to be missed in Milwaukee, at least for the first couple months, maybe even into the playoffs. We'll see how that goes. I think, honestly, it's one of the rare times where the 3 teams in this trade win. DeAndre Ayton was getting tired of the Suns, and the Suns needed depth. Damian Lillard obviously was looking to be shipped out all summer and finally gets shipped out. Everybody wins. Trailblazers are continuing their rebuild. Suns just add depth to a contending team, and Milwaukee gets much-needed floor spacing and unloads some of their older guys. I think it's a win, 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 And yeah, I'm very excited for the NBA season. Also, did y'all know that the NHL season is starting up? NHL preseason is going on as we speak, as you are listening to this. I'm going to spend like a couple seconds on this. I love hockey. I love hockey. If someone comes to Nashville and they say, yo, Jack, take me to a sports game, show me what Nashville is about. I'm taking them to a Nashville Predators game. Again, unfortunate name. I'm taking them to a Predators game. Unfortunate name. I'm not taking them to a Titans game. We're not going all the way to Memphis, obviously. And we're not going to a Sounds game. We're going to a Nashville Predators game. Unfortunate name. Oh, God. Hockey. I should have brought a water. Hockey is so fun to watch. And hockey atmospheres in sports is pretty much unbeaten. The closest thing you could probably come to is a March Madness tournament game. But outside of that, it's hockey. And I hate that hockey is not more well known. And the reason it's not more well known is because they have commissioners that don't know how to push it. Don't know how to push it. You're probably hearing this is probably the first time you're hearing that the NHL season is starting up. The World Series is coming up next month. You're probably hearing about that. NBA season is starting up. You just heard the trade that happened with the Suns, Bucks, and Blazers. But nothing about the NHL. And the NHL is such a fun sport and can be so popular in America if they just learn to market properly. That's all I'm going to say because I don't have a lot of time. But NHL season is starting up. I'm happy about it. I think that's the sport I'm going to focus on learning this season. Last season, I already knew about basketball, already kept up with basketball, but I really started to learn about basketball. I know a lot about football. I'm not the most intelligent person on football, but I know a lot about football. Football is my main sport, so tried to learn basketball. Now I'm going to try to learn hockey. When the springtime comes around, probably get into baseball. Definitely going to talk about the World Series, but that out of the way. Let's get into the predictions of this football weekend, and we are starting with college football. Now, what I'm going to do with my predictions is I'm not going to go through every single game, especially not in college football. There's too many games. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 5 most interesting matchup in college football and in the NFL, and we'll talk about it. If you want all of my predictions for all of the games in the NFL, I post a TikTok video every Thursday predicting every game. This is just a little more in-depth on the matchups I deem interesting. Now, last thing before we get into college football, sometimes college football is not going to have 5 interesting matchups. That's just how college football is. So either I'll just make up some kind of storyline as to why I'm including it, or we might shorten it. Who knows? So the first matchup we're going to get into is Utah and Oregon State. This is very, very interesting. Utah currently ranked 11th. Oregon State currently ranked 19th. Utah coming off a 14-7 win over UCLA, and Oregon State coming off a 35-38 loss to Washington State. Washington State is very, very good. Now, in terms of rankings, Utah, their offense ranks 112th, while their defense ranks 10th. And Oregon State's offense ranks 26th, while their defense ranks 45th. And the one thing that I'm going to be looking at, the one player, really, is Cam Rising. If you don't know who Cam Rising is, he's the quarterback of Utah that hasn't played this season. Utah has been winning these games with complete backups. Why can I not say splitting? He's still splitting reps with Nat Johnson, the current quarterback of Utah, the current starting quarterback of Utah. He was out there practicing last week before the game against UCLA, but he didn't play. As I'm recording this, like I said, Thursday morning, 6:46 a.m., Cam Rising has not been confirmed to play this Saturday. And if he plays, it could change a lot. This Utah offense, ranked 112th, is struggling. And they're not struggling against, like, great teams. They're struggling against teams like Baylor. And Oregon State's defense got torched by Washington State, but Washington State's offense is very, very good. They have a very, very underrated quarterback in Cam Ward. So, honestly, with that being said, I think Oregon State takes this upset. Now, it's only an upset because they are ranked at 19th, while Utah is ranked at 11th. I really don't think... What is going on? Someone just started a mower. I hope that is not too... We're just going to keep pushing. I hope that's not too distracting. I don't know why someone's mowing their yard at 6:45 in the morning. What was I saying? Yeah, I think it's a close game, but I think Oregon State pulls it out 24-23. But if Cam Rising plays, I think Utah wins. But since I'm not sure if he's playing, since it's not confirmed, they may just wait another week and just trust their defense. But I don't think their defense will be good enough. Oregon State wins 24-23. And you see my arm because I am scrolling through my notes. Usually, I should just edit this out, but I got to go to sleep. That looked very suspect. The next matchup I'm looking at is Florida and Kentucky. Kentucky coming off a 45-28 win against Vanderbilt, while Florida is coming off a 22-7 win against Charlotte. Now, Kentucky has been playing very, very good this year. They've been riding on the edge of the top 25. Top 25 has its problems, but it's still worth some kind of thing. Kentucky's been riding the border of the top 25 all season, and this is their chance to hop in. Florida still being ranked, I think, like 23rd, 24th. I think I'm just going to come out and say I think Kentucky wins 30-10. I'm not impressed with Florida. They beat an overrated Tennessee team that can't win a game in the swamp for whatever reason. It's an SEC matchup, so if there's anything in that, I think Kentucky's been playing very good. I don't think Florida is that good. I think Florida has been overrated, lost to Utah, and beat an overrated Tennessee team. I think Kentucky wins this fairly easily. Now, from our third matchup, we got LSU and Ole Miss. LSU coming off a 34-31 win against Arkansas, and Ole Miss coming off a 10-24 loss against Alabama. Now, the key components in this, I apologize for that face. The key components in this is the defense. LSU's defense being ranked 66th in total defense, while Ole Miss's defense is ranked 61st. I think this is a high-scoring matchup. However, being that it's a high-scoring matchup, that means which quarterback do you trust more? Which offense do you trust more? And I don't know about y'all. Hot take. I trust Jaden Daniels over Jackson Dart. I just do. I've watched a couple Ole Miss games this season. That one against Tulane. I watched the one against Alabama. And I'm going to be completely straight jacket with y'all. Jackson Dart looks stupid overrated. He was getting hyped up coming into this season, and he looks overrated. He looks nervous. I mean, he can run a little bit. But to me, he's just overrated. he's just overrated. And Jaden Daniels has been playing phenomenal all season. Even in the Florida State loss, he was playing phenomenal. I think LSU wins this in a very high-scoring game, 45-42. And for an SEC game, that is wild. Now, for our fourth matchup, we got Notre Dame and Duke. I'm going to be honest. I only put this here because I think it'd be cool if Duke can pull this out. I think Notre Dame wins 40-10 pretty easily, but I would be interested in seeing Duke at least keep this close. Now, South Carolina and Tennessee. Tennessee coming off a 45-14 win against Utah, while South Carolina is coming off a 37-30 win over Mississippi State. And this is a revenge game, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not a Vols fan, if you don't remember what happened last season, the Vols were college football playoff bound. They lost to Georgia, but they were still looking pretty good with every team under the sun losing in front of them. All they had to do was beat South Carolina. And they went into South Carolina, and Hendon Hooker got hurt, and ended up losing 63-38. A complete and utter embarrassing loss. I think that this revenge game works out well for them. I think Joe Milton is showing signs that he's really not all that. Congratulations, he played okay against Utah, but against real competition, he doesn't play that great. I think the Tennessee defense is just fine, but I think this revenge game works out for them. However, if it doesn't, this is going to go well for one, Georgia. The University of Georgia Bulldogs. Because if you remember, Georgia really struggled against one team this season, and that team was South Carolina. They only beat them by 10 points. And I've been going on this rampage about how Ohio State's falling, USC is falling because they're struggling against lesser opponents, and everybody is talking about how South Carolina isn't really that much worse than Georgia, which is an insane thing to say. That South Carolina is still an SEC team, so that's why Georgia's the two-time defending champion, like that means anything to this season. That's why Georgia doesn't move when they struggle against South Carolina. Why am I bringing this up? If South Carolina can keep this game within 10 points, which I think is very possible, it looks very good for Georgia, and I'll say it right now. If South Carolina keeps this game within 10 points, I will stop going after Georgia that hard. I will somewhat admit that, okay, SEC teams are just going to play each other close because Tennessee should win this game. I'm predicting them to win this game 40-25, but y'all keep me to that word, and that is definitely the promo clip for this podcast. And that does it for college football. So let us now move on to the NFL. And the first matchup we're going to talk about is the matchup happening tonight. The Detroit Lions are going into Lambeau to face the Green Bay Packers. Very heated rivals. Very good matchup almost every year. And there's a couple facts we need to know when going into this matchup. A, Aaron Jones and Christian Watson are expected to be back and to be playing. They've both been full participants in practice all week, I believe. Full participants. And this will be Christian Watson's first game of the 2023 season. And you got to think, Jordan Love has been looking pretty good without his quote-unquote number one receiver in Christian Watson. And he looked pretty good last week with no Aaron Jones. And the key factor for the Detroit Lions is one, Aiden Hutchinson. Looking like he should have been the first overall pick over Trayvon Walker. I think he should have. If he can tear apart that Green Bay Packers offensive line like he did in both their matchups last season, Jordan Love is going to have a problem. Jordan Love is going to have a big Michigan problem. Now, Detroit rankings, they got 8th in offense, 11th in defense, not too shabby. The Green Bay rankings, 22nd in offense, 15th in defense. Worse, but seems like an average team. I believe, I'm not even going to try to remember because I almost said that they faced, did they? I should have wrote that down. I think the Packers win 23-17. 23-17, I don't think, well, I guess that's a high-scoring game in the NFL. I think with Aaron Jones and Christian Watson coming back, that defense is going to have to do a lot. I think in Lambeau means a lot. I think the Packers are a lot better than a lot of people thought they were going to be outside of Green Bay. I do think they split the series, but for now, the Green Bay Packers win Thursday Night Football 23-17, and it is going to be a very fun game. Next up, we have the Bengals at Nissan Stadium take on the Tennessee Titans. Now, I know what you're saying, Jack. Of course you're adding two Tennessee teams in the most interesting matchups. But if you don't think these matchups are interesting, I don't know what to tell you. These two teams, the Titans need to show that they have life this season to their fan base. And the Bengals need to show that they're not garbage. Both these teams have something to prove this weekend. And unfortunately for the Titans, they have two things that are absolutely detrimental, absolutely necessary to beat the Bengals. They don't have. What is that? A good offense. Titans have a horrible offense, ranked at the very bottom of the league. And their passing defense. Their run defense, phenomenal. Sucks. You don't worry that much about Joe Mixon running the ball when facing the Bengals. You worry about Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Forgot who the tight end is now. Why are they rotating tight ends so much? CJ Uzomah when they went to the Super Bowl. Last year was Hayden Hurst. And now, I don't even remember the kid's name. But the Bengals have had their struggles this year. But they're coming off a very big primetime win against the Rams this past Monday night. I believe, Monday night because the Dolphins-Patriots were Sunday night. I think they get it done. I think they embarrass the Titans. For some reason, Cincinnati always beats Tennessee. As a Titans fan, I cannot remember the last time we beat Cincinnati. And the Titans are just bad. They have a good front seven, and outside of that, it's a whole lot of It's a whole lot of That defensive line, phenomenal. The linebacking core, okay. The DB core, Sean Murphy-Bunting is playing good. Amani is good. And KB is one of the best safeties in the league. But that cornerback depth is non-existent, especially when they start getting injured. The offensive line is terrible. The wide receiving core has potential to be good, but it's not. You know why? Because Ryan Tannehill is constantly on his back. And when he's not on his back, he's overthrowing everybody. So, and the Titans can't seem to figure out that Ryan Tannehill plays good when Derrick Henry is rushing for 100 yards. If he's not rushing for 100 yards, Ryan Tannehill doesn't play good. And the Titans refuse to play Derrick Henry this season. Y'all heard my rant if you listen to the podcast this past Tuesday. I think the Bengals win 30-10. 30-10. Moving on, the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. The game of the week, and it is at noon. Are you kidding me? Are you joking? Are you joshing me? Game of the week at noon. A lot of people won't be able to watch this game. This is going to be a phenomenal game. And you know what we're getting Sunday night? We're getting the Chiefs and the Jets. I get the appeal before the season. But the NFL likes to flex some games. Why couldn't we do that here? But I'm looking at the number one offense in Miami versus the number two defense in Buffalo. I think unstoppable force meets immovable object. My nose is getting worse by the second. Oh, my God. We're going to push through because we only got a couple more games. I think the Dolphins win 38-35. I think it's a fairly high-scoring matchup. The reason I think the Dolphins win is I think Josh Allen has too much of a turnover problem, and you do not want to give the Dolphins more chances than they already are going to get. We're going to move slightly to the side. I'm sorry for that noise. Because we got the Ravens and we got the Browns coming up next. Browns. Could they have found their stride against Tennessee? I don't know. Because like I just said, Tennessee is just bad. Tennessee's passing offense is bad. Now that might, going against a bad passing defense, I meant to say passing defense. Going against a bad passing defense could be enough for Deshaun Watson to finally shake off that rust. And the Browns defense is just playing lights out. The Browns defense is phenomenal. They don't let anything by them, anything in the slightest. And the Ravens are coming off an embarrassing loss against the Colts. Division rival, plus I think the Ravens come in very angry. I think it comes down to, can the Browns defense hold Lamar and Zay Flowers and Gus Edwards and all them boys? It really comes down to that. And then it comes down to, can the Browns score more than 20 points? If they don't score 20 points, they're not winning. So give me the Ravens 20-13 over the Browns. Finally, We got the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers, and y'all may have just chuckled a little bit, and I get it. I get it. Why are you putting this as an interesting matchup? I'm putting this as an interesting matchup because the Cardinals don't look horrible. And they just upset Dallas. Now, teams after big emotional wins usually don't do that good. I get that. But the 49ers could be in for a little bit of an upset. I have them winning 35-13. Don't get me wrong. It may be uglier than that. But don't be shocked. Josh Dobbs has a little magic in Arizona. That's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between. I hope you enjoyed the first iteration of Jackie Boy Predicts. Oh, that was disgusting. Let us all have good luck in these predictions. I will try to keep up with my record. I think I will. We're going to have some fun this season. Y'all have a good football weekend. Take care.